Just ahead on American Black Journal, I'll talk with actor Hill Harper about his decision to purchase a home and a business here in Detroit. Plus, we'll meet 3 people who went from homeless to hopeful thanks to the Detroit Rescue Mission Ministries. Don't go away. American Black Journal starts now.
Masco Corporation is proud to manufacture innovative and environmentally friendly products for the home. Delta faucets, craft-made in Merillat cabinets, and Behr brand paints have all been designed with you in mind. Masco and its family of companies, serving Michigan communities since 1929.
Support also provided by the W.K. Kellogg Foundation, a partner with communities where children come first. The Cynthia and Etzel Ford Fund for Journalism at Detroit Public TV.
The DTE Foundation proudly supports 50 years of American Black Journal in covering African American history, culture, and politics. The DTE Foundation and American Black Journal, partners in presenting African American perspectives about our communities and in our world.
Also brought to you by Ally, Nissan Foundation, and viewers like you. Thank you.
Welcome to American Black Journal. I'm Stephen Henderson. Actor and entrepreneur Hill Harper is bullish on Detroit, and he wants others around the country to invest in the city and its residents. Harper has a home and a business here in Detroit, and he's helping to empower residents financially and socially. I spoke with Harper about his interest in the city after his keynote speech at the Detroit Regional Chamber's Detroit Policy Conference.
Years ago, I met so many people that I love. I just spoke about it, but people that I met over the years. When I was at Harvard Law School, I met so many Detroiters, and I just had an affinity for the city.
Yeah.
Things evolved, and started to spend more time here, met more wonderful people, and decided just to invest in the city. So I bought a business here. I bought the roasting plant, which is a coffee roastery in downtown Detroit. And we do micro batch roasting, and it's a coffee shop. And then I bought one of Detroit's iconic homes, which is one of the Fisher Mansions. In this case, it's the largest home in a neighborhood called Boston Edison, and it's been a journey and a labor of love. You know, doing the complete rehabilitation of the home, and in the midst of it, it's a very long process. It's you know, it's almost 22,000 square feet, and
goodness.
so
Right.
it's a large.
Yeah.
You know, the main house and the carriage house, and it's 100 years old, and there's a lot to do.
Yeah.
Every week something new goes wrong.
As an old homeowner, I can relate.
Yes.
Not quite 22,000 square feet for me, but that narrative kind of reflects the larger narrative here in the city. I wonder what you make of the things that are going on, the things that are changing for us in Detroit.
Well, I'll tell you, to me, you have a wonderful investment in the downtown core, but a starking lack of investment in the neighborhoods.
Yeah.
And it's really truly the neighborhoods, to me, and the people in those neighborhoods that are who you want to bet on. They're who you want to invest in. And the communities, historically, and the folks from here are the ones that have made Detroit what it is and its legacy. And that's what attracted me here. So you're talking about an outsider who's invested millions of dollars in a city. I got attracted here. Why? Because of the people. And that's what I just spoke about here. We can't ignore that. It's not about pretty old buildings and making those shiny.
Yeah.
It's not about that. It's not about figuring out how to import people. It's about investing in the people that are here, letting them be creative, and creating a uniquely wonderful city that attracts people because of what's happening.
Yeah. Yeah. Have you seen that work other places
It
a
works
little better than it does here?
Well, I mean, when you know thyself, it works. Now, certain catastrophic things can happen.
Yeah.
I'll give you a great example. I'm co-owner of a hotel in New Orleans.
Okay.
It's called International House. It's a wonderful hotel. Bought it with a very good friend of mine, and we were doing incredibly well, right? Until Katrina happened. Now Katrina happens, and people leave, and all these things start to happen. You start to see that I love New Orleans. I love it, but it's not what it once was. And the reason why is because you didn't invest back in the people.
In the people. The people are gone.
Came in as predators, and whether you want to call it cultural appropriation or whatever, and it's New Orleans is, in certain ways, has become a Disneyland fake version of what it was. The actual people doing the marches have been pushed out. The actual people doing the lines and the musicians, those real people in many ways have been pushed out. And now you have the kind of fake version of it. And I hate to say that publicly because I still own the hotel.
Right, and consider yourself part of that community.
And
right?
I am. And so I've seen it work in the right way, and I've seen it work in the not so right way.
Where have you seen it work in the right way?
Well, it was working in New Orleans.
No,
in other words,
before,
what I'm saying,
right.
before New Orleans was working because you just wanted to go there.
Yeah.
It was such a different city than any other city in the country. Any other city in the country. Another city where it's actually worked, and you talk about know thyself in many ways, is Silicon Valley. That became its own beacon of light with people doubling down on it. But watch what's happened, right? You can arbitrage things and you can figure out things. People are leaving it. Why? One, because it got expensive. But two, the more interesting thing is we are very simple animals, right? A lot of rich guys were there, and there weren't that many girls to talk to. So what do? They all started setting up offices in Los Angeles. Right? So now you have Silicon Beach in Venice and in LA and West LA, and more jobs are being created within the tech sector there. Why? Because people, if you have money, you want to date somebody. Right? So behavior is relatively simple, but we have to invest in the people. You have to invest in what makes something special. This city has such an amazing history, but the history isn't because of industry. The history is because of the people. Right?
Yeah, I grew up here, and we didn't used to talk about it that way, but it did used to be different, right? When there was all this largesse from the auto industry, there was opportunity. There was opportunity for people who had means. There was opportunity for people who didn't have means.
But there's still opportunity.
And we lost
if we create it.
Right.
You totally lost it. Totally lost it. But now there's this new opportunity, but it's allowing people to try to grab and appropriate rather than expand.
Then expand it, right?
And that's the critical difference, right? And it's almost like people are afraid to say it because you're just happy they came to the party.
Right. Everyone else was leaving.
Everyone else is leaving. I'm just happy you came to the party. But at the end of the day, if someone's going to come to the party and then make it their party, it's not your party anymore. Then it's not that much fun, even though it's a party, supposedly. Then you're actually not even at the party anymore, and you're not even invited to the party, but you're like, I started this party.
I was
how did you end up owning the party? And so you got to remember, we have to put communities first, have to put people first.
When you talk with other people who are here doing what you're doing in Detroit, some of them from here, some of them from other places, do they seem to get that too? Are we at the point where the people who are moving the capital, that's changing things,
I think they
that?
get it, but they don't know how.
Yeah.
And what I try to explain to them is you don't have to know how. You just have to bet on the people.
Yeah.
And I'm working on something where I'm attempting to provide just an ecosystem or a fishbowl where some of the barriers are broken down for people to get together and actually kick around ideas, attempt to be creative, create businesses. At the end of the day, the most important thing is what we're saying, creation of opportunity and job opportunity. Job opportunity, because people want to be able to earn an income and earn a living wage. How can we provide that for everybody, provide that opportunity for everybody in Detroit?
Up next, a nonprofit that has changed the lives of hundreds of thousands of Detroiters. But first, here's a 1995 Detroit Black Journal conversation about building a Detroit equestrian center on Belle Isle.
We're talking about a rather ambitious undertaking, as we stated earlier. We talked about you making Detroit a place where people really want to come and play,
Yes.
as well as a place where people come to work. The equestrian arts have long time been associated with wealthy, white Americans. Is there the kind of interest in Detroit for this kind of an activity?
I'm so happy you asked that question. And I want to go back to a survey we did in 1987. We sent a questionnaire to 4,716 Detroit households. It was amazing, Daryl, that the horse is consistent in all family experiences. If you can recall, many of us migrated from the South, okay, from farms with one horse or one mule. So it's not just a rich man's recreational pursuit. We all have experiences relating to the horse. We also found in that survey, across demographic and economic lines, a widespread interest from moderate income, low income, all the way to what we would call super high income. And we've tried to design our facility to accommodate all of those interests so that everyone could participate in the Detroit Equestrian Center.
Participating in the Detroit Equestrian Center not only means these new buildings with these activities in them, but tangibly, what does this mean for people in Detroit? And I say this because I think people in Detroit have heard so much about what we want to do, what some developer or some group of developers propose to do, only to have the plans fizzle or to fade into oblivion at some point. What does this mean in terms of jobs? What does this mean in terms of retail base? What does this mean in terms of people's ability to actually come and participate in some cost effective, efficient, and affordable activity? What does it mean on all those levels?
It means a winner on each of those points.
Absolutely.
Jobs, jobs, jobs. It'll be over 250 some construction jobs, 200 some permanent jobs, a $3 million payroll. This project, and you probably looked at it, has support from all over the state. And that's unusual, I think, for projects that are geared toward Detroit. The support normally dies at 8 Mile Road. But the outstate individuals, the legislature, they understand that this is what we need in southeastern Michigan.
The Detroit Rescue Mission Ministries has been rebuilding lives for more than 100 years. The nonprofit faith-based organization helps the homeless, addicted, and poor get back on their feet through a number of services, including substance abuse treatment, emergency shelter, permanent housing, job training, and counseling. Joining me now is the Rescue Mission's Chief Operating Officer, Barbara Willis, along with 3 former clients who now work for the mission. Sonia Bailey is Director of the Women's Substance Abuse Treatment Facility. Herbert Morris heads up the 3rd Street Emergency Shelter for Men. And Keith Bradley leads the mission's DeVos Ministry Center. Welcome, all of you, to American Black Journal.
Thank you so much
Yeah.
for having us.
So Barbara, I'm going to start with you. Tell us more about Detroit Rescue Mission Ministries.
I've been with the ministry for about 25 years.
Wow.
The ministry actually started in 1909, so we're talking about 111 years that it's been around.
Yeah.
Started as a soup kitchen, and now we are in 5 counties in Michigan. We have shelter, transitional housing, permanent supportive housing, veterans program, returning citizens program, teen moms, on and on. So we just kind of cover the gamut there.
Yeah.
We kind of take pride in what we do and the compassion and caring that our staff has. I think that's really key. We have a president, Dr. Audie, who is very compassionate, but also moves ahead. So he sees the need, and we're there. So we're everywhere. But the 3 staff people that we have here today are 3 of our jewels, having come through the programs and are now directors, so we like to kind of focus on them today.
And we're going to get to their stories in a bit, but I want to talk a little bit about the way people see these issues and how to deal with them, how hard they are to deal with. I think a lot of people think it's hopeless and that you can't turn somebody's life around if they get themselves into that situation. Talk about what it is about the rescue mission that proves that wrong. What are you doing that shows that this isn't hopeless?
I think the main thing, we are a Christian organization, so we deal with the spiritual side to give hope. We have clinical staff, credential staff, and they're able to kind of work around all of those issues. But I think the primary thing is the compassion of our staff and how and many of them have been through, so they know how to relate. It's not kind of a standoffish thing, but they know how to relate and pull people in.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about some of these great stories we have around the table here. Sonia, you work as the Women's Substance Abuse Treatment Director, but tell us your story, how you came to that place.
Thank you so much. I do work as the director for Genesis House 3, which is our substance abuse treatment facility for women and children. I am honored that I have an opportunity to serve, as once I was homeless myself. And I remember thinking, like, God, when you get me out of this and I have an opportunity to help somebody else, I'm going to make sure that I can treat them the way I want to be treated. So I have the opportunity to do that daily. It is both rewarding and, you know, you go home and you think about lives that are changed. It brings a smile on your face, and you look forward to the next person that you can assist, because again, I once was hopeless. I once felt like, I don't know if I'm going to ever get out of it, but when I do, I am going to help to pull somebody else up. So I love it.
Yeah. So tell us a little about what brought you to the rescue mission. I mean, you talked about being in a really desperate situation. What was it that said to you, this is the place to go, and this is the place that I'll stay and get better at?
Well, actually, I've been there 16 years, and there was a young lady that went to the same church I went to, and she had brought an application for Detroit Rescue Mission Ministries for someone else, and that individual decided that wasn't something that she really wanted to do. So I just happened to be standing around. I said, I'll take that application. Yes. And it was a Christian organization, so I was able to share in my own faith. And so I knew, once I heard some of the things that Detroit Rescue Mission did, I said, I have to be a part of that organization. And I am happy that I made that decision 16 years ago.
Keith, what about you?
How you doing?
Good to have you here.
Yes it is, yes it is.
Tell us your story.
Well, I touched the rescue mission doors January 7th, 2008. I was in a bad state at that point. I was hopeless, I was penniless, I was homeless, I was addicted to alcohol and crack cocaine. And I had knew individual had went to the Detroit Rescue Mission some years before. And when he had went to Detroit Rescue Mission, his life got better. So I made it to the door of the Detroit Rescue Mission Ministries on 3rd Street, and I knocked at the door, and they opened the door for me. And they told me to come on in, Keith, we're gonna love you until you learn how to love yourself. And that's exactly what they did, the Detroit Rescue Mission Ministries. You know, every time I say the Detroit Rescue Mission, I have to say ministries, because this is a ministry. You know, they led me back to Christ. I hadn't remembered the last time I had prayed. They took me in as family, like we do, and my life has gotten better since that day. Yes.
What was it about the rescue mission that was different, perhaps, than other things you might have tried to get away from what?
Oh, the difference with the Detroit Rescue Mission is it's like family, it's the ministry. That people that helped me was former clients, and they could relate, they could understand when I'm telling them I'm going through something. They can relate to me, and I just felt that. I felt the love that was inside the ministry, and that's what made me wanted to stay. Then my life just started to evolve. I started thinking different. I started looking different. I started to act different from being within the ministry.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Herb, what's your
Yes.
story?
Well, I came to the Detroit Rescue Mission in 2010 after serving 3 years in prison from alcohol and substance abuse issues. They had a program while I was in prison that you could come to the mission. I forget what was it? I think it was NPRI.
NPRI.
Yeah, and you can come if you want to change your life, and that's what I wanted to do. I had came up in Battle Creek, and things weren't, you know, I had, like, I guess, burnt my bridges, so I wanted to start fresh and new. And the Detroit Rescue Mission opened their arms to me, and everything has been different since.
Yeah, yeah. It's interesting to me that all three of you have stayed and are working with other people in that situation. But I'm also curious about what you think led you to the situation you were in the first place. What were the things that went wrong for you?
The things that went wrong, my self-esteem was low. And employment was high in Battle Creek. I couldn't keep a job. Well, I probably could keep a job if I wasn't using substances, but you know, that's what it was, the substance abuse, the drinking, and my self-esteem at that time.
Yeah.
And also, I didn't have Christ in my life.
Right, right. Keith?
You know, in my case, you know, what led me to the Detroit Rescue Mission, it started back in 1984 when the crack epidemic hit the city of Detroit. I was a young man at the time. I really didn't know how bad it was. So I got caught in that era, you know, and once I got caught in that era, it was I thought it was just phasing. Then I look up 10 years later, I'm still phasing. So I started to search for some help. I started to pray more often, but it'd be hard, you know, when you're in your active addiction.
How old were you?
I was 22.
Okay, wow.
I was 22. My life started spiraling out of control. I look around my neighborhoods, I see my friends that we all got caught up. A lot of us got caught up during that crack epidemic that hit us so hard, hit the city of Detroit so hard. I'm from the east side of Detroit, and it hit us hard. But when I look back now, I thank God for that to bring me to the point where I am today. So it was a blessing. It was dark days, but now it's a blessing.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Sonia, what about you?
Well, for myself, I actually did not have an addiction. However, I wanted to be grown. So I kind of ended up hanging with the wrong people. And my pride would not allow me to return home. So I thought, let me do this. I can do this on my own. And those decisions, the pride not allowing myself to say, I need help, let me go home, because I had a wonderful mother. So I could have gone home, but I, again, wanted to be grown, wanted to kind of do it my way. So I ended up homeless, and but I'm glad that I have an opportunity to swallow my pride, give my life back to Christ, and to actually now bring some other people with me.
Yes.
Yeah. You have no better argument for what you're doing than these three stories sitting around.
And the beauty for each one of them, we talk about all the time, is they humbled themselves. They came out of their addiction, they humbled themselves, took very lowly positions, but they were faithful for several years, well, many years in some cases. So now they're all directors, and we're just grateful for that.
Yeah. The struggle to get everybody to this point obviously sometimes results in failure. What do you do when that happens?
Keep the door open, because they'll usually be back. I know when I first started working with the ministry, I was at one of the facilities, and I just get so excited, you know, when I see somebody really turn around. And then maybe several months later, they come back. You know, that was disheartening, but that's a part of the process. You know, you fall down, you get up, you just keep getting up. And so that was a lesson for me. But these three are just, again, our jewels, and they know what to do
Right.
and how to do
Right.
it.
Well, I'm really glad you brought them, and I'm glad to meet all three of you. And good luck.
Glad to meet
Thank you for having
Yeah.
us.
Thanks for
Thank you so much.
Okay, that's our program for today. Thanks for joining us. You can get more information about our guests at AmericanBlackJournal.org. And as always, you can connect with us on Facebook and on Twitter. We'll see you next time.
Masco Corporation is proud to manufacture innovative and environmentally friendly products for the home. Delta faucets, craft-made in Merillat cabinets, and Behr brand paints have all been designed with you in mind. Masco and its family of companies, serving Michigan communities since 1929.
Support also provided by the W.K. Kellogg Foundation, a partner with communities where children come first. The Cynthia and Etzel Ford Fund for Journalism at Detroit Public TV.
The DTE Foundation proudly supports 50 years of American Black Journal in covering African American history, culture, and politics. The DTE Foundation and American Black Journal, partners in presenting African American perspectives about our communities and in our world.
Also brought to you by Ally, Nissan Foundation, and viewers like you. Thank you.